Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off this presentation on the certificate lecture outline. Today, we'll be exploring the fascinating world of global wine and beer. We'll cover key topics about their history, varieties, production processes, and cultural significance. So let's get started and enjoy this journey together. Today, we're going to explore the foundations of wine and beer, which are essential to understanding their unique qualities and styles. We'll look at how raw materials play a crucial role in shaping the character of each beverage, and how different regions around the world contribute to a diverse range of styles. First, we'll talk about the raw materials, grapes for wine and barley or hops for beer, and how their quality and characteristics influence the final product. Then, we'll take a global perspective, examining key wine regions like Bordeaux, Tuscany, and Napa, and how their climates and traditions create distinct styles. Similarly, we'll look at major beer regions such as Belgium, Germany, and the United States, each with their own brewing customs and styles. Throughout this discussion, I want you to see how these foundational elements connect to the broader themes of quality, tradition, and regional influence that run through the entire world of wine and beer. Let's take a closer look at the foundations of wine and beer. These beverages have rich histories and are built on some fundamental principles. First, both wine and beer originate from the fermentation of natural ingredients, grapes for wine and grains for beer. Fermentation is a key process here, where yeast converts sugars into alcohol and carbon dioxide, creating the alcoholic content and the characteristic bubbles or stillness of each drink. Understanding the raw ingredients is essential because they influence flavor, aroma, and quality. For wine, factors like grape variety, soil, and climate, what we call terroir, play a huge role. For beer, the type of grains, hops, and yeast strains used are crucial. Another important point is the fermentation process itself. It's not just about alcohol, it's about developing complex flavors and aromas through controlled fermentation conditions. This is where craftsmanship and science come together to produce the final product. Connecting these points to our overall theme, recognizing the foundational elements helps us appreciate the artistry involved in producing wine and beer. They're not just beverages, but embodiments of tradition, environment, and technique. So, understanding these basics enriches our appreciation, whether we're tasting or discussing them. When we look at the process and flavor differences between wine and beer, we see some interesting contrasts. Wine extracts fruit character and tannins from grapes, which give it that rich, complex flavor profile. Beer, on the other hand, involves mashing, converting starches into sugars, which not only provides the fermentable sugars, but also often adds bitterness and builds the beer's body. This difference in raw materials and processing really shapes each beverage's unique character. Talking about yeast and fermentation, wine typically uses Saccharomyces cerevisiae, the common wine yeast, which helps develop those nuanced flavors. Beer, however, can use a variety of yeast strains, both ale and lager types, that influence the aroma and alcohol content in different ways. The choice of yeast is crucial because it directly impacts the final flavor profile. Finally, regarding raw materials, wine ferments grape sugars, obviously, while beer is brewed from cereal grains like barley and wheat. These raw materials are foundational. They determine the base flavors and characteristics of each drink. Understanding these key differences helps us appreciate how both wine and beer are crafted, each with its own methods and flavor-building techniques that align with their distinct identities. Now, let's explore how these beverages spread across the world. Throughout Europe, Asia, and Africa, they were adapted to local ingredients and customs, which helped them become staples in different cultures. This shows how food and drink can be both universal and uniquely local at the same time. Next, technological evolution played a huge role. As agriculture and techniques improved, so did the quality and variety of these beverages. These advancements not only enhanced their taste, but also strengthened trade routes and helped shape entire societies. Culturally, these drinks have served many roles. They've been markers of social status, central to rituals, and shared during gatherings that reinforce community bonds. They're more than just drinks. they carry social and cultural significance. Looking back to their ancient beginnings, we see that beer was brewed in Mesopotamia around 5000 BCE, and wine appears in Georgia and Iran roughly between 7000 and 6000 BCE. These early fermentation processes followed the crops and climate of each region, highlighting how local resources influenced their development. Overall, these points emphasize how integral these beverages have been throughout history, not just as drinks, but as vital parts of cultural identity, social structure, and economic development. Fermentation is an anaerobic process, meaning it happens without oxygen, where yeast transforms sugars into alcohol and carbon dioxide. The specific outcomes of fermentation depend greatly on factors like the type of sugar involved, the temperature at which fermentation occurs, and the yeast strain you're using. These elements together influence how quickly fermentation happens, as well as the aromas produced and the level of attenuation, which is essentially how much sugar is converted into alcohol. In winemaking, for example, the yeast primarily ferments grape sugars, while in beer brewing, maltose from grains is the main sugar being fermented. The duration and temperature of this process are crucial because they shape the flavor complexity, the final alcohol content, and even the mouthfeel of the beverage. So you see, yeast, sugar, and the fermentation conditions are all interconnected. They form the core principles of fermentation, and understanding this relationship helps us control and optimize the process to create the desired characteristics in our wines and beers. Let's start by looking at how controlled strains play a crucial role in distinguishing different types of beer. For example, ales and lagers rely on specific yeast strains, and the choice of strain, along with the fermentation temperature, really influences the final flavor profile. Controlled strains help brewers achieve consistency, but secondary microbes can also come into play, especially in specialty styles. These microbes support souring and maturation, adding complexity and unique characteristics to the beer. Switching gears to wine, natural yeasts on grape skins can initiate spontaneous fermentation. This process is fascinating because it helps shape the wine's terroir, those unique aromas and textures linked to the vineyard's environment. While Saccharomyces cerevisiae is the primary yeast that drives alcoholic fermentation in most wines, wild yeasts and bacteria also contribute. Sometimes, they add delightful complexity, but other times, they can cause spoilage if not managed properly. Ultimately, whether we're talking about beer or wine, the primary fermentation involves a diverse array of yeasts and microbes working together. Their interaction is what creates the distinct flavors and textures that make each beverage special. Asia leads the way in alcohol consumption volume, with the highest figures measured in millions of liters. Following Asia are Europe and the Americas, which also have significant shares. When we look at the types of alcohol, beer remains the dominant global choice, enjoyed widely across many markets. However, wine holds a special place, especially in Mediterranean regions where it is the preferred beverage. Interestingly, wine is also experiencing growth in the US and China, driven by changing tastes, increasing incomes, and a growing interest in premium and craft varieties. These trends highlight how culture, economic factors, and evolving consumer preferences shape the global alcohol landscape. Overall, this slide underscores the scale of consumption worldwide, over 72,000 liters, and the diverse preferences across regions. It's a fascinating look at how cultural and economic factors influence what people drink, which is essential as we explore market opportunities and trends moving forward. Now let's take a look at how classification systems work for both beer and wine. Starting with beer, it's often categorized by regional traditions, which really shape the different styles you see, like Trappist beers or real ales. These categories aren't just labels, they help preserve heritage and create distinct identities for each type. When we move to ingredient-based classifications, beer is defined by what goes into it, like the type of yeast used, the ingredients, and the brewing process. For example, whether it's an ale or a lager depends on fermentation methods. And then there's the Reinheitsgebot, the famous German purity law, which sets standards for what ingredients can be used, ensuring a certain level of quality and tradition. Switching over to wine, the classification is often based on style and quality. Here, factors like the grape variety, winemaking techniques, and aging process all influence the final product. These elements shape consumer expectations and help position wines in the market. Finally, there's the system of appellations, such as AOC or DOC, which regulate how wines are labeled and ensure they meet certain standards of origin and quality. These systems are deeply rooted in terroir, meaning the unique combination of soil, climate, and tradition of a region. Collectively, these classification systems help maintain authenticity and quality, connecting the product to its heritage and setting clear distinctions for consumers. Let's take a closer look at raw materials and style. When it comes to raw materials, the choice is crucial because it directly impacts the quality, durability, and overall aesthetic of the final product. Selecting the right raw materials means considering factors like sourcing, sustainability, and cost, all of which align with our broader goals of quality and responsibility. Now, moving on to style, this is where creativity really comes into play. The style of a product or design reflects not only current trends, but also the brand identity and the message we want to communicate. It's about creating a visual language that resonates with our audience and sets us apart in the marketplace. Connecting these points to the overall theme, remember that the combination of carefully chosen raw materials and distinctive style is what ultimately defines the product's appeal and success. It's a balancing act, ensuring that the materials support the style, and the style elevates the materials, resulting in a cohesive, compelling finished piece. Let's start by looking at Pinot Noir and Syrah or Shiraz. Pinot Noir is known for being delicate, with those classic red berry flavors. It tends to have a lighter color and an elegant acidity that makes it quite versatile. On the other hand, Syrah or Shiraz brings a different profile: spicy dark fruit, robust tannins, and a deep, intense color. These two showcase how different grape varieties can create such distinct wines, even if they come from similar regions. Moving on to Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc. Chardonnay can range from crisp citrus notes to rich, buttery oak flavors, with moderate acidity that balances those profiles. It's a very adaptable grape, capable of expressing a wide range of styles. Sauvignon Blanc, however, is characterized by high acidity, often with herbal and citrus notes, making it vibrant and refreshing. These two are great examples of how different winemaking techniques and climates influence a grape's expression. Finally, let's discuss Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. Cabernet is known for its bold tannins and dark fruit flavors, with high phenolics that contribute to its ageability and structure. It's often considered a classic choice for aging gracefully. Merlot, by contrast, tends to have softer tannins, with flavors of plum and chocolate, making it more approachable and easy to enjoy right away. Together, these varieties highlight the diversity within red wines and how they appeal to different preferences. All these grape varietals demonstrate the rich variety of flavors and styles available in wine, each bringing its unique character to the table, which ties back to our overall theme of exploring wine diversity. So let's talk about what terroir really is. Essentially, it's the unique combination of soil, climate, topography, and human decisions that all come together to shape how vines grow and what kind of grapes they produce. Each of these elements plays a crucial role in creating that distinctive character in the grapes. Now, moving on to how sites influence grapes, minerals in the soil, how well the land drains, the amount of sun exposure, and temperature all have a direct impact on grape metabolism. These factors influence not just the structure of the grapes, but also their aromatics, giving each vineyard its own signature profile. And why does all this matter? Well, terroir underpins site selection and helps define the wine's typicity. It's what makes each place unique and gives the wine its flavor complexity and intensity. Understanding terroir helps us appreciate why wines from different regions taste so different, even when made with similar varieties. In the bigger picture, recognizing the importance of terroir highlights how the sense of place is a core driver of a wine's character, making every vineyard's expression truly special. When it comes to brewing grains, each type plays a unique role in shaping the final beer. Oats, for example, create a really smooth and silky texture, which is especially noticeable in stouts and hazy beers. They help give that luscious mouthfeel we often seek in those styles. Rye adds a spicy, dry edge to the brew. It's usually used in small amounts, but even then, it brings an extra layer of complexity that can really elevate the flavor profile. Wheat is fantastic for adding haze and a creamy mouthfeel. It also supports foam stability, helping your beer look appealing and feel softer on the palate. Plus, it contributes to a lighter, softer texture overall. And then there's barley, which is the backbone of most beers. Its high enzymes and helpful husks support mashing and filtering processes. Barley is also key in driving the body, color, and foam stability of the beer, making it a versatile and essential grain. So, understanding how each of these grains contributes allows us to craft beers with specific textures, flavors, and appearances that match our desired style and experience. When it comes to adding complexity and a distinct cultural signature to beer, ingredients like coriander or orange peel really shine, especially in Belgian ales. They bring a unique aroma and flavor profile that sets these beers apart. Moving on to spices and herbs more generally, they can also play a crucial role in shaping the beer's character. Next, we have adjuncts like corn or rice. These ingredients are often used to lighten the body of the beer and can also help reduce production costs. Plus, they contribute to a cleaner, crisper finish, which many beer drinkers appreciate. Lastly, let's talk about hops, adjuncts, and spices together. Hops are essential not just for bitterness, but also for aroma and antimicrobial properties. They can introduce a range of notes, from floral and citrus to pine and earthy tones, adding depth and complexity to the beer. All these elements, hops, adjuncts, and spices, are key tools brewers use to craft the desired flavor profile and overall experience. Let's talk about how water chemistry influences the flavor and style of beer. First, high bicarbonate levels are great for buffering acidity, which makes them ideal for dark and roasted grists. Think of Munich water. It's known for supporting rich, dark lagers because of this mineral profile. Next, we have high sulfate levels, which sharpen hop bitterness and give a dry, crisp finish to beers. This is especially famous in Burton-on-Trent, where pale ales and IPAs benefit from that clean, sharp hop character. Moving on, hard water with high calcium and magnesium boosts mash efficiency and yeast vitality, leading to robust stouts and porters. Dublin is a classic example of this mineral profile in action. On the other hand, soft water, with low mineral content, encourages delicate flavors and creates a smooth mouthfeel. This makes it perfect for light lagers and pilseners, like the traditional Pilsen style. Overall, water chemistry plays a crucial role in shaping mash performance, yeast health, and ultimately, the regional character of the beer. It's fascinating how these minerals influence not just the brewing process, but also the flavor profile of the final product. Now, let's explore how the place itself influences ripening and the overall quality of grapes and grains. Temperature, rainfall, and sunlight are the main drivers here. They directly steer how grapes ripen and how their carbohydrate levels build up. For instance, cooler climates tend to preserve acidity and delicate aromatics, giving wines a crisp, fresh profile. In contrast, warmer climates usually lead to higher sugar levels and a fuller body in the wine, creating a richer, more robust experience. Elevation and proximity to water bodies also play crucial roles. Higher elevations can moderate temperature extremes, preventing overripening or underripening. Similarly, nearby water bodies can buffer temperature fluctuations, leading to more consistent ripening conditions. These factors combine to create subtle but important differences in quality across different regions. Overall, understanding how climate and geography shape ripening helps us appreciate the diversity of flavors and styles we encounter in wines and grains from around the world. It's all about how the environment influences the development of these crops, making each region uniquely suited to produce certain qualities. Let's take a closer look at global wine regions. As you can see, wine is produced all over the world, each region offering its own unique characteristics and flavors. These regions are influenced by factors like climate, soil, and tradition, which all contribute to the distinct profiles of wines from each area. Understanding these regions helps us appreciate the diversity in wine styles and helps us choose wines that suit our personal preferences. From the classic vineyards of France and Italy to the emerging wine areas in countries like Australia and South Africa, each region adds to the rich tapestry of global wine culture. Recognizing these key regions is essential for anyone looking to deepen their knowledge and enjoyment of wine. Let's take a moment to look at the Old World overview. Here, we're exploring the historical context and key characteristics of the Old World, which primarily refers to Europe, Asia, and Africa before the Age of Exploration. This region was the epicenter of many ancient civilizations, with rich cultural, political, and economic traditions. Understanding this background helps us grasp how these societies laid the groundwork for global interactions. It's important to see how their innovations, trade routes, and social structures influenced later developments. As we connect this to the overall theme, remember that the Old World set the stage for the complex exchanges and transformations that would follow in the new eras we'll discuss. Welcome to this exciting section on New World innovation. Here, I want to highlight how innovation is transforming our approach to creating solutions and shaping the future. When we talk about New World innovation, we're referring to groundbreaking ideas and technologies that are redefining industries and opening up new opportunities. It's about thinking beyond traditional methods and embracing change that drives progress. This concept is central to our overall theme of adaptation and growth in a rapidly evolving landscape. By staying at the forefront of innovation, we can better anticipate trends, meet emerging needs, and stay competitive. So, as we explore this, keep in mind how these innovations can influence not just our business, but the world around us. Let's start by exploring champagne. It's a sparkling benchmark that uses traditional secondary fermentation, which is what gives it that signature sparkle and complexity. This method has set the global standard for quality in sparkling wines. The main grape varieties here are Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier, each contributing their unique character to the blend. Moving on to Burgundy, this region is known for its varietal specificity. Here, Pinot Noir is used for red wines and Chardonnay for white wines. Burgundy is celebrated for its wines that display elegance and a strong sense of place, what we call site character. The focus on these two grape varieties highlights the region's dedication to expressing terroir through its wines. Finally, Bordeaux is famous for its blends, primarily built on Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon. These wines are prized for their structure, aging potential, and the complexity driven by the unique terroir of the region. Sometimes, Cabernet Franc is also part of the blend, adding additional nuance. So, when we look at France's three major wine regions, Champagne, Burgundy, and Bordeaux, we see a fascinating diversity. Each region has its distinct approach, from sparkling to single varietal reds and whites to complex blends. All of these contribute to France's reputation as a leader in the world of wine, showcasing a rich diversity of styles and expressions. Let's take a closer look at three key regions in Italy that showcase the incredible diversity of Italian wines. Starting with Veneto, this region offers a wide spectrum, from the crisp, refreshing Prosecco to the rich, opulent Amarone, which is made from dried grapes. Veneto really demonstrates how Italian wines can range from sparkling and light to deeply intense and full-bodied. Moving on to Piedmont, here we find Nebbiolo, the grape behind iconic wines like Barolo and Barbaresco. These wines are known for their complexity and longevity, with floral notes and a tar-like depth that really showcase the potential for age-worthiness. Lastly, we come to Tuscany, home to Sangiovese, which is the backbone of classics like Chianti and Brunello di Montalcino. These wines are characterized by bright acidity, vibrant cherry fruit, and a savory structure that makes them both approachable and layered. These three regions highlight the incredible diversity of Italy's wine landscape and how each one contributes uniquely to Italy's reputation as a world-class wine country. Let's start with sherry from Jerez. This is a fortified Palomino wine, and what's interesting about it is how it ages oxidatively in a Solera system. The styles of sherry range quite a bit, from the dry Fino to the very sweet Pedro Ximénez. And of course, the coastal climate of Jerez plays a big role in shaping these wines, giving them their unique character. Moving on to Ribera del Duero, here we're dealing with Tempranillo, but it's quite different from other regions. The wines tend to be bolder and richer, often benefiting from aging in French oak barrels. The continental climate produces concentrated, structured wines that really stand out. And then there's Rioja, another iconic region. Rioja Reds are also primarily Tempranillo, but they're aged in both American and French oak, which adds layers of vanilla and spice to the wines. Rioja classifies their wines into tiers: Crianza, Reserva, and Gran Reserva, each indicating different aging levels and complexity. So, as we see, Spain offers a diverse range of wine styles across these key regions, each with its own unique expression, but all contributing to the rich tapestry of Spanish wine culture that we're exploring in this presentation. Today, I want to highlight how California has become a major player in the premium wine world, establishing what we call the prestige New World hubs. These regions are competing on the global stage by focusing on quality, consistency, and innovation. It's really about pushing the boundaries to deliver exceptional wines year after year. When we talk about signature varietals, Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay come to the forefront. They truly define the style of these regions. Think of structured reds that have depth and complexity, paired with vibrant, expressive whites that showcase freshness and finesse. One of the key advantages these regions have is what I call the modern craft advantage. They leverage advanced viticulture techniques, ensuring the healthiest grapes and precise winemaking processes that bring out the best in each varietal. Plus, strong regional marketing helps elevate their prestige and expand their reach globally. Specifically, Napa Valley and Sonoma stand out as the iconic hubs, places where innovation and tradition blend seamlessly to produce world-renowned wines. These regions exemplify how California continues to lead and shape the global premium wine landscape. Let's take a closer look at some of the key players in the Southern Hemisphere wine scene. Starting with Argentina, they are world-renowned for their Malbec, which has become a signature variety. But what's particularly interesting is how they are balancing their investment in resilience, adapting to climate challenges, while still expanding their presence on the global stage. This dual focus helps them maintain their reputation and continue growing. Moving on to Chile, they are very much driven by value, especially with their Carmener, a variety that's become a Chilean icon. Their strategy emphasizes export-led growth, which means they're actively expanding their reach worldwide. At the same time, they're investing in climate adaptation initiatives, ensuring their vineyards can withstand environmental changes and sustain high-quality production. Now, South Africa offers a fascinating blend of old-world techniques and native varietals. They honor their tradition while also innovating, emphasizing sustainability in their practices. This combination not only preserves their rich heritage, but also positions them well for future challenges, making them a resilient player in the global market. Finally, Australia is well known for their Shiraz and innovative blends. They're very focused on climate resilience, adapting their vineyards to evolving environmental conditions. Additionally, they're aiming for export growth, leveraging their reputation for bold, distinctive wines to reach new markets. Altogether, these producers exemplify how the Southern Hemisphere is embracing resilience, innovation, and a strong export focus, key themes that are shaping the future of global wine production. Terroir really drives the signature profiles we associate with different wines. Essentially, the climate and soil of a region shape how a grape tastes, creating what I like to call regional fingerprints. For example, with Riesling, you often see a contrast between mineral and fruit characteristics. In Germany, Rieslings tend to be taut and mineral-driven, giving them that crisp, clean edge. Meanwhile, Rieslings from the New World, like Australia or the US, lean toward riper flavors with more citrus and stone fruit notes. Understanding these differences matters a lot when it comes to service. Recognizing grape typicity helps us educate consumers better, make sharper wine recommendations, and tell more confident regional stories. It all ties back to helping our customers appreciate the unique identity of each wine based on where it's from. As we look at the threats, it's important to recognize that global competition and shifting consumer preferences can pose challenges to rigid regional standards. These standards, while providing a foundation, may need to adapt to stay competitive in an evolving market. On the flip side, there are significant opportunities. Traditional practices and established legal frameworks can actually be leveraged to support premium branding and boost export growth. These elements help distinguish regional wines and add value on the international stage. However, we must also be aware of certain weaknesses. Strict rules, while beneficial in many ways, can sometimes limit innovation and experimentation. This can slow down a region's ability to adapt quickly to new trends or consumer demands. At the same time, our strengths lie in the fact that regulations help ensure high quality and authenticity. They play a crucial role in preserving regional identity and building consumer trust, which are key assets in a competitive global market. So, to sum up, while laws and traditions do a great job of protecting authenticity, they may also constrain innovation. Balancing these aspects is essential for sustainable growth and success in regional wine markets. Welcome to this overview of global beer regions. As we explore this slide, I want to emphasize how diverse and geographically spread out the brewing traditions really are. Different regions have developed their own unique styles and flavors, shaped by local ingredients, climate, and cultural preferences. You'll notice some key areas like Europe, which has a rich history of brewing with countries like Belgium, Germany, and the UK leading the way with their distinct styles. Then we have North America, particularly the United States, which has seen a craft beer revolution in recent decades, bringing innovative flavors and techniques to the forefront. Asia is another significant region, with countries like China and Japan making notable contributions to the global beer scene. And let's not forget Africa and Latin America, where emerging markets are rapidly growing and diversifying their beer offerings. Overall, understanding these regions helps us appreciate the global reach and cultural significance of beer. It highlights how interconnected and dynamic the industry is, constantly evolving with local influences, but also sharing innovations across borders. This regional perspective ties into our broader theme of how beer reflects cultural identity and adapts to changing tastes worldwide. Let's take a look at how different regions have shaped the history of beer. Starting with Germany and the UK, we see a focus on tradition and regulation. The Reinheitsgebot, or beer purity law, played a key role in refining brewing standards, emphasizing purity and quality. Over time, pub culture evolved, further refining styles and helping to forge a modern brewing identity rooted in tradition. Moving to Belgium, monastic brewing and local yeast traditions have really defined the country's distinctive and expressive beer styles. These monastic breweries contributed unique recipes and techniques that still influence Belgian beers today, making them stand out in the world of brewing. Then we have Egypt, where brewing was closely tied to agriculture and state society. Beer was not only a daily staple, but also an integral part of economic and ceremonial life, anchoring it deeply in the social fabric of ancient Egypt. Finally, we go back to Mesopotamia, where early brewing traditions emerged as a vital part of daily life and ritual. These ancient practices laid the groundwork for beer's role in human culture, highlighting its importance from the very dawn of civilization. When we look at these regions collectively, we see a fascinating story of how brewing has evolved, shaped by culture, regulation, tradition, and societal needs, contributing to the rich global tapestry of beer that we enjoy today. Let's take a closer look at some of the key threats and opportunities facing the German brewing industry today. One of the main threats comes from craft competition and shifting tastes among consumers. As more craft breweries emerge, they often challenge traditional styles, which can put pressure on classic German beers. Additionally, regulatory rigidity, like strict brewing laws, can sometimes limit innovation and make it harder for brewers to adapt quickly to changing preferences. On the flip side, there are some significant opportunities. Globally, there's a strong demand for authentic German lagers. This international interest supports export growth and helps reinforce Germany's reputation for high-quality, premium beers. It's a great chance for brewers to expand their reach and showcase what makes German brewing special. However, we also face some weaknesses. Ingredient limits, which are part of the Reinheitsgebot, can restrict experimentation. This can reduce the diversity of modern beer offerings, making it challenging for brewers to innovate and cater to evolving tastes. But our strengths are notable too. The strict Reinheitsgebot standards ensure that German beers maintain high quality and consistency. This discipline helps preserve the classic flavors that have made German beers world famous and supports our reputation for brewing excellence. In summary, while there are challenges to navigate, the combination of tradition and global demand positions Germany well for continued success in the brewing industry. When we look at farmhouse aromatics, we see how saisons and regional ales often highlight herbs and grains, giving them that rustic, hearty character. These techniques are rooted in tradition and continue to inspire craft brewers around the world today. It's all about capturing that authentic farmstead feel. Moving on to spontaneous tradition, lambics are a perfect example. They rely on wild fermentation, meaning they use naturally occurring yeasts and bacteria from the environment. This process creates tart, complex beers with nuanced flavors that have significantly influenced modern sour styles. It's a fascinating example of how embracing nature can lead to unique and compelling brews. And then there's monastic depth. Abbey ales develop layered, rich characters through the use of expressive Belgian yeast strains and careful fermentation practices. These beers often have a depth of flavor that reflects the craftsmanship and tradition of monastic brewing. All of these styles, farmhouse, spontaneous, and abbey, are deeply connected to Belgium's brewing heritage. They show how regional techniques, natural processes, and historical practices come together to produce some of the most distinctive and beloved beers in the world. When we talk about tradition and culture in the UK, it's really about how pub life and cask methods help keep local identity alive. These practices not only preserve the heritage, but also foster a sense of community among drinkers. Moving on to the types of beers, let's start with stouts. They are known for being rich, creamy, and deeply roasted, with bold flavors and a thick texture that makes them quite distinctive. You'll find a range from dry stouts to milk stouts, all offering that satisfying, full-bodied experience. Next, we have porters. These are dark and robust, with a focus on roasted malt flavors. Historically rooted in London's brewing tradition, porters now often balance chocolate and coffee notes, making them incredibly versatile and appealing to a wide audience. Then there are ales and bitters. These are typically malt-forward, meaning the malt character really shines through, often complemented by floral or earthy hops. They are usually cask-conditioned, which gives them that smooth, rounded mouthfeel that you often associate with traditional regional pubs. All of these styles, ales, bitters, porters, and stouts, are integral to the UK's beer culture. They reflect a deep-rooted history of brewing that emphasizes quality, tradition, and community. So, when we look at UK ales and dark beers, we're really seeing a vibrant expression of regional identity and craftsmanship that continues to thrive today. New brewers are really pushing the boundaries by refining traditional brewing methods with modern hops, yeast, and techniques. This experimentation is helping to create unique flavors and styles that appeal to today's palate while still respecting the roots of classic brewing. Across Eastern Europe, lagers continue to play a central role in everyday drinking culture, which shows just how enduring and versatile this style is. When we think of regional dominance, the Czech Republic stands out as a pioneer. They really set the standard with their crisp, hop-forward Pilsner lager, which has become a benchmark for quality and flavor. The origin of Pilsener is deeply connected to Czech brewing history, and it highlights how a specific region can influence a whole style that's now enjoyed worldwide. So, in essence, while new brewers are innovating, they're also building on a rich tradition that continues to evolve and inspire. Craft breweries are really driving a multi-billion-dollar industry that's not just about making beer, but about expanding our tastes and pushing the boundaries of innovation worldwide. Since the 1980s, especially in the US, we've seen a real movement toward new styles, things like IPAs, sour ales, and other unique brews, plus techniques like barrel aging that add complexity and depth. Experimental adjuncts, or added ingredients, have also become a big part of the scene, allowing brewers to create truly distinctive flavors. Right now, there are over 9,500 craft breweries across the country, and this explosion has sparked what we call the craft beer revolution. It's a movement that's not only reshaped the beer industry, but also reflects a broader cultural shift toward local, artisanal, and innovative products. This all ties back to our overall theme of how craft brewing is transforming the beverage landscape, offering consumers more variety, quality, and creativity than ever before. Now, let's look at the annual growth in beer consumption across emerging Asian markets. As you can see, these markets are experiencing a rapid expansion, driven by a combination of local traditions and the evolving craft beer scenes. This plus 12% growth highlights how these regions are becoming increasingly important in the global beer industry. It's fascinating to see how cultural preferences and new craft beer movements are fueling this surge. This trend aligns with our overall theme of how emerging markets are shaping the future of beer consumption worldwide. Opportunities here are quite significant. When a regional beer gains protected status, it can really boost tourism by attracting visitors eager to experience authentic local flavors. It also helps strengthen local pride, giving communities a sense of identity and achievement. Plus, such protections support sustainable small-scale production, ensuring these traditional methods and products can thrive long-term. But of course, there are challenges too. Imitation is a big one. Many competitors might try to copy these beers, sometimes diluting their unique qualities. Globalization also plays a role, making it easier for mass-produced, less authentic options to flood the market. And regulatory differences across regions can complicate recognition and enforcement of these protections, which can weaken the integrity and reputation of regional beers. That's where market positioning comes into play. By emphasizing their distinct regional identity, these beers can command premium prices and attract niche consumers who value authenticity and tradition. It's a way to stand out in a crowded marketplace. Finally, trademark protections are crucial. Protected designations like Trappist or Pilsener Urquell help safeguard not just the names, but also the brewing methods. This ensures that what consumers buy is truly authentic, preserving the integrity of these regional specialties and preventing misuse or misrepresentation in the marketplace. These inputs create sensory signatures that are really hard to replicate outside their origin, which is what makes each product unique. When we look at flavor outcomes, spontaneous fermentation and open-air mashing play a big role. They introduce place-specific microbes and oxidation notes that you just can't control or duplicate elsewhere. It's this natural process that gives each batch its distinctive character. Now, traditional processes also matter a lot. Using local sourcing, like Saaz hops or Bamberg smoked malt, shapes the signature aromatics, bitterness, and malt character of the final product. These ingredients carry the essence of their specific place of origin, reinforcing the idea of ingredient terroir. Ultimately, this concept of local ingredients and methods highlights how much the environment and tradition influence what we taste. It's a reminder that authenticity and sense of place are embedded in the very fabric of the brewing process. Let's wrap up with a look at how tradition and innovation go hand in hand. Honoring our heritage while embracing new ideas really expands what we enjoy, allowing us to appreciate the rich history alongside modern creativity. Next, regional identity plays a crucial role. The unique place and traditions of each area create distinct and recognizable profiles, giving each wine or beer its own personality and story. Raw materials are the foundation of flavor. Grapes, grains, water, and yeast are the essential ingredients that define the range of flavors we experience, highlighting the importance of quality and origin. And of course, foundations matter. The origins and history behind each style and ritual shape what we enjoy today, connecting us to centuries of craftsmanship and cultural significance. So, in conclusion, exploring global wine and beer reveals a fascinating blend of tradition and innovation, regional identity, and raw materials, all grounded in rich history. It's this interplay that makes tasting and appreciating these beverages so rewarding and meaningful.